Welcome to a new video from On the Mark. I'm your host Anissa, and in this video we will be talking about community building and the phrase that On the Mark holds at the core of our business, which is people support what they help to create. First, we'll hear from Angela Hughey, co-founder and president at One Community, a non-profit coalition of socially responsible businesses, organizations, and individuals who are advocating for diversity, inclusion, equity, and equality for all. Let's dive in.
We're not a believer in making assumptions, regardless of what your political or religious belief system may be or your lived experiences. We just meet people where they're at. And I think we start from a place of like, what can we agree on, right? And when we start from this basis of like, what we all have in common is our humanity, which is one of our big mantras, then we really create an unlimited journey between us and an individual, us and an organization. And, you know, we remind everyone that what we all have in common is that we're all Arizona. And I think really it's these individual meetings that can lead to larger and larger meetings as well. We are known for our Point of Pride LGBTQ+ Business Summit, right? So which is our 8th year we're doing this. We bring business and community leaders together. We're not afraid to have the difficult conversations. We're an organization that is known for being in that front position, which is the really uncomfortable position. And we walk into spaces that can be incredibly uncomfortable and break bread with people. I think you do what you say you're going to do, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it starts with you. It starts with you being accountable. If I say that I'm going to follow up with you, I have a responsibility to follow up. If I say I'm going to connect you to someone that can share their experiences and can validate the work that we do, then I have that responsibility to make that introduction and to follow up. So I think it really starts with personal accountability. We have an entire team that is a very, very accountable team. I think the most important thing you can do is create a safe space, right? To have difficult conversations, to hold trust and confidentiality, right?
Now we're speaking to Dania LaScola, owner of a consumer packaged goods business, the Callicoon Pantry, a low-waste grocery and refillery. Here's what she had to say.
Just in the inception of the business itself, the community was very involved. And then I think, you know, I'm quite maybe young by business owner standards. We started the business when I was 23. I had very little initial capital to start a business. And so kind of how we raised the funds to start this was by starting a membership program where before even people saw pictures of the space, before they knew, you know, truly who we were, so many community members buying into a membership program where, you know, you pay a monthly fee, but then you get discounts on the product. So we have like a really great core founding member group that truly started who we are as a business and allowed us to gain traction. And, you know, we just grew super slowly after that. Because we are in such a rural area, it's so interwoven, so inextricably linked. I'd say to start, before, you know, I even knew that I would be doing this as a grocery or as, you know, as the owner of this grocery store, we had a bunch of meetings with different community members who saw the need for some type of business like this. So it started off very community based. There was a group of maybe 8 to 12 of us who would meet, you know, once every week, every couple weeks, and just to kind of gather what we thought the community needed. And from there, I kind of broke off with my former business partner, and we kind of took the Callicoon Pantry and ran with it. So from the jump, the community has been so involved. So I think the largest thing is that weekly donation cook that I mentioned. We started just on a whim in March of 2020. You know, we were a brand new business. We opened in the idea where people come and bring their containers and they scoop things into jars. So COVID kind of broke everything that we thought the business was going to be. I think in a good way, because we were able to rebuild in a way that worked better for us. But initially, right when COVID hit, we kind of shut down our operations. We really didn't know what to do for a couple months. And in that time period, we leveraged our buying power as a business with access to wholesale food accounts to start cooking for our local hospital members, our local hospital crew, because we didn't know the overwhelm that they were going to see. We were seeing around the country that, like, local healthcare workers were extremely overwhelmed. So we are all so much better when we work together. Really is the reason that I think we've been so successful as a business, and I'm so grateful for every single member of our community.
And lastly, to tie everything together, we're bringing in On The Mark's founder, Mark LaScola. Hey Mark, thanks for wrapping up this conversation that we had. And I'm very curious, after having watched these videos, the two conversations that we had with Angela
with Angela and Dania.
And Dania, yeah. What is it that really stood out for you?
What I've come to appreciate about businesses like Angela's and Dania's, as well as my early days in community economic development, was more than just providing a service or a product. It's about the glue, weaving together a community and creating glue that nurtures, enhances, celebrates, cultivates that community far beyond just whatever product or service they're offering.
Mm.
And I took that, and as I've learned that way back in the 80s, I thought, why aren't we doing that in the type of consulting that is being done?
Yeah, so can you elaborate a little bit on that? Like, what does it look like then, the community building in the work that we do?
The whole idea of people support what they help to create. I parlayed that into looking around and going, well, who's doing this work differently than just being experts parachuting in, or my favorite, ants on a picnic basket crawling around a business? It just spoke to my core as a way of doing this work, that you can't, it's the old funny joke about psychologists or psychiatrists. How many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? You've heard that joke, right? And the answer is the light bulb has to want to change itself.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, it's just, from my graduate work in clinical psych and from my community economic development work, it just made fundamental sense that you can't go in and tell people what to do.
And what is one or perhaps two very tangible actions that you embody to really live up to that people support what they help to create in the way that we do consulting?
The first is that we never step in to make decisions. And it's not just me, it's the whole company. What we will do is say, if you turn left, let's consequence that one out. If you turn right, let's look at that and see what the consequences are for that and the trade-offs. I mean, every decision, particularly in business, has trade-offs, and the key, trade-offs and risks. And the second is we try to be as collaborative and as democratic as possible. Traditional leaders have this tendency to think of collaboration as being chaos. And a traditional leader thinks he or she has to have all the answers. Well, we don't work very well with traditional leaders, and most leaders we work with are insightful, high IQ, high EQ, understanding the limits of bringing in an expert to tell people what to do, and really believe at the core that the solution for the problem lies within their people. One of the concepts that's really important to put, well, you talked about the culture and getting data, right? And the data's in the room. And you're absolutely right about that. From family therapy, Salvador Minuchin, I think, is the person who talked about this the most, is enact the system. And bridging from social sciences and the clinical world and applying into our world, the consulting world, change world, it's very important to enact the social system right in front of you so that the social system can learn, self-correct about what's inhibiting and or enabling it to be as effective as it can be. So the importance of enacting the system all the way through the design process and all the way through the solutioning is an intervention, a major intervention into our work.
Any final thoughts or anything that I didn't ask that you'd like to share about this, how we bring the notion of people support what they help to create to life?
No, but I do I don't, but I do have one thing. If there's leaders, executives listening to this and they're thinking about how they want to go about change work, I think one of the most important decisions for leaders is, how do we do this work? Do we want to bring experts in, come in and tell us what to do, crawl around our business like ants on a picnic basket, and then bestow a set of directions and pretty PowerPoint slides? Or do you fundamentally believe that the answer resides in your people, and recognizing that by spending the time and investing and allowing your people to come up with a solution within a defined set of parameters set by leaders, it's going to go much farther and it's going to be much longer sustainable than anything else anyone else could come up with.